Today we're going to discuss section 13.4, Law of Sines. Everything that we've done up to this point in this chapter has to do with a right triangle. Today we're going to work with triangles that are not a right triangle. Now we can't use the regular 6 trig functions on a non-right triangle. So there has to be another way of solving for a triangle that's not a right triangle. Part of the way is called law of sines. So we're going to learn about that. But the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to find the area of a triangle that is not a right triangle. So let's say I have that. Normally my area would equal 1/2 the base times the height, which would mean I would have to drop a line down there because that's the height of the triangle. So I'd have to find that, multiply them together, and take half of it. But if I use trig, I am able to not have to drop a vertical line down. And in trig, I can say the area of the triangle is A times B times the sine of C. Now there's nothing special about the A and the B and the C, but let's say that this is 36 degrees. And I know the side on both sides of this. Now remember, the side opposite, and I made it match up to this because this is going to be little c, this would be A, and this would be B. So I'm going to multiply the two sides that are on each side of the angle that I'm going to use. So I'm going to do 1/2 23 times 35 times the sine of 36 degrees. Now obviously you're going to use your calculator for that. So you can put that straight in your calculator like that. If you want to use 0.5 for 1/2 you can. And you quickly find that the area is 236.6 units squared. Okay? And a lot of times they don't give you the triangle, so you would have to draw the triangle out. Let's say they tell me A is equal to 7, C is equal to 11, and angle B is equal to 36 degrees. All right, I'm just going to draw a base triangle, and I'll just do A, B, and C, and I'll pencil in my measurements. I know that angle. I know this side across from angle A is little a, side across from angle C is little c. So then it's just a matter of plugging into the formula. 1/2 7 times 11 times the sine of 36 degrees. When I multiply that all out, it's going to give me 22.6 units squared. It's just a matter of using that formula. So you've got an angle and you've got to know the sides on both sides of it, and you can find the area that way. Remember, you're finding the space within the area of that triangle. All right, I'm going to have you try one, pause the video, and then come back. So A is equal to 83, B is equal to 79, and C, well actually this one we'll do together because I got to show you something on your calculator. Notice how it gives you that angle. We haven't done that before, but it's a matter of putting it into your calculator that way. So I know that the area is equal to 1/2 the 83 times the 79 times the sine of 92 degrees 42 minutes. Now, you're going to put in your calculator, you're going to put all that in. 0.5 times 83 times 79 times the sine, and then you go 92. Then go, see there's an angle right above the button that says apps. So I'm going to go second apps, which is going to give me my angle. Then I'm going to press enter on number 1, which is going to give me my degree mark. Then I'm going to put my 42 in there, go back to that same button, so second apps, which selects angles, go down to the second one, which is your minute thing, okay? Select that one, and it should put it on your calculator. So now you should have 92 degrees, 42 minutes in there. Press enter, and I'm going to get 3,274.9 units squared. And that's going to be the area for that triangle. All right, now let's talk about law of sines. Law of sines, just like finding the area, is a formula that can be used to solve for missing parts of a triangle. Okay? Now we've used all of our trig functions before, but remember that was with a right triangle. These are for triangles that are not right triangles. So the sine of angle A over little a is proportional to the sine of angle B over little b, which is proportional to the sine of angle C over little c. All right, let me show you on a triangle here what we're talking about. Let's say I know A is 40 degrees, C or B is 60, and I know that this is 20 right here. All right, I want to solve this triangle. So what I'm missing is I'm missing angle C, little b, okay, which is opposite angle B, and little c. All right, so those are the things I want to come up with. Well, because I know two angles, it's very easy to find my third angle. Because they're together, they have to equal 180. So angle C would be 180 minus 100, or minus 40, minus 60, which is going to give me 80 degrees. So I know that angle C is 80 degrees. Right, then I'm going to use law of sines, and I also always have to choose the angle that I know from the side that I know. I have to know both this angle and the side opposite. So the sine of 40 degrees over 20, and then I can choose whichever one I do next. Let's say I want to do B next. So B is over here. The angle opposite is 60, so the sine of 60 over little b. So the only unknown I have is right there. So I want to solve for it. So I'm going to cross product this times this and this times this. So I have b times the sine of 40 is equal to 20 times the sine of 60. Now you can get a value right there if you want and write it down, or you can wait and do it all on the calculator. I'm going to divide by the sine of 40 to get the b by itself. Make sure that whole top part is in parentheses. Okay, when I do that, I get that b is equal to 26.9. Now be careful, the problems will probably tell you where to round to. So 26.9 is right there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for solving for my C. But this time, I'm going to do the sine of my C, which is 80. So the sine of 80 over little c. And again, I'm going to cross product. So I've got c times the sine of 40 is equal to 20 times the sine of 80. And I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 40. And it's going to give me C is equal to 30.6. And then I've solved the triangle. Okay, let's do another one. A little higher up here. Okay. This time they just tell me A equals 16, B equals 10, and A equals 70. Okay, I would always draw out just an example triangle so I can label it to see how they're related, and then I would put in my values. Okay, little a is 16, and I know little b, which is 10. Now this time I don't know two angles, so I'll have to find an angle. The angle on this side I know is A, so sine of 70 over 16 is equal to, let's say we want to find angle B, so the sine of angle B over 10. Now remember, when we're trying to find an angle, we are going to use inverse. So this is going to be an inverse sine. Again, I'm going to cross product. So I have 10 times, let me check and make sure it's still working. Okay. Actually, let's put this one on this side. 16 times the sine of angle B is equal to 10 times the sine of 70. I'm going to divide by 16. So I have the sine of angle B is equal to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the angle B is equal to the inverse sine. Remember that second and then the sine button of 10 times the sine of 70 degrees divided by 16. And that gives me angle B is equal to 36 degrees. Now I can find C because C is going to be 180 minus 70 minus 36, and that's going to give me 74 right there. So I still have one more angle or one more side to find. Remember, I can't use Pythagorean theorem because this is not a right triangle. So I'm going to still keep my same basics over here. The sine of 70 over 16 is equal to the sine of 74, because that's the angle across from the side I'm trying to find, over C. I'm going to cross product. So I have C times the sine of 70 degrees is equal to 16 times the sine of 74. I'm going to divide by the sine of 70. That's going to give me what C is equal to, and C is equal to 16.2. So you're doing the same thing all the way through it. The law of sines. Sine of an angle over the side. Sine of an angle over the side that corresponds to it. Let's do another one. Okay, this will be the last one we're going to do. So I want you to go ahead and work this one out, and then I'll give you your homework, okay? Little a is 12, little b is 8, and a is 50. Okay, so pause the video, work it out, and then come back. All right, the angle I know, opposite the side I know. So the sine of 50 over 12 is equal to the sine of angle B over 8. I'm going to cross product, so I have 12 times the sine of angle B is equal to 8 times the sine of 50. I'm going to divide by 12 because this is my unknown right here. But that means I'm looking for an angle, so I'm going to use inverse sine of this whole thing. 8 times the sine of 50 divided by 12. Okay, and that's going to give me an angle of 31. Now I can find the angle C by going 180 minus 50 minus 31. Angle C is going to give me 99 right there. All right, I've got one side left, which is this one, so I'm going to set it up. The sine of 50 over 12, same way I've been setting up all of them, is equal to the sine of 99 degrees over little c. So c times the sine of 50 is equal to 12 times the sine of 99. I'm going to divide by the sine of 50. So C is going to be, what that's going to give, when I do that on my calculator, it's going to be 15.5. So it all depends on what you're trying to find, but you're using law of sines all the way through it. So you keep setting up proportion problems, but you have to know the angle and the side opposite the angle. Okay? All right, this is your homework. Page 796 through 797, 16 through 30 even.